These are the 194 faces of Success Academy's public middle school in Harlem. They love their school and all the opportunities it brings. But Mayor Bill de Blasio just announced he is closing their school, taking away their hopes and dreams.
That ad? How'd you like to be on the wrong side of that ad? Well, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio is now facing not one but two lawsuits stemming from his administration's latest decision on charter school proposals to share space with public schools in New York. The first, from a powerful charter group, is suing the mayor for canceling their so-called co-locations. That's when they're housed in public school space. Now, the other lawsuit is from public advocate Letitia James, who's arguing the de Blasio administration approved too many charter proposals. For Bill de Blasio, the honeymoon is officially over. Joining me now, New York City public school teacher Brian Jones, co-producer of The Inconvenient Truth Behind Waiting for Superman, and James Merriman. He's CEO of New York City Charter School Center. All right, respond to that ad. Whenever you get charter school stuff, the hardest thing is to look in the faces of those kids, like they were at the rally in that ad, and be like, sorry guys, I'm giving you the X. How do you respond?
Right, well, we'd have to look into the face of the kids at PS 30 and look into the face of the kids at PS 123 and look into the face of the kids at PS 149 who've had to share space with Eva Moskowitz's Empire, and look into their faces and look at the music program that lost its space, or the theater program, or the physical therapy program that lost its space.
So you're saying there are losers we're not seeing from the existing set of arrangements?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't want to begrudge any student or family their success, but when it comes at the cost of another child's success, then we're getting into dangerous territory here, and we're losing the universalistic aspiration of public education.
Okay, here's the thing that I want to know.
Sure.
160 public schools were closed during Bloomberg, some of which over huge community pushback, right?
Right.
I did not see the charter movement. I did not see the big donors for these places out there running rallies. I did not see ads like that, multi-million-dollar ad campaigns. When neighborhood schools got closed against the community wanting them closed, there was no one there to stage rallies except the folks in the neighborhood. Suddenly, you try to close a charter school, and there's a lot of people writing big checks running ads like that. How do you account for the difference?
Sure, there's a simple difference. The difference is that the charter school at issue that closed is really, literally one of the highest performing schools in the state. The mayor said today on TV that 1 in 4 kids are ready for college in New York City coming from the public school system. And if this school is getting kids ready for college, that's a school that has to be embraced, and he himself has reversed course and said we need to find a home for that school.
Are charter schools a crowbar to pry open public education? Because
absolutely not.
Why not?
Why not? Because they're public schools. Because we have...
Well, they're public schools now.
And they will always be public schools.
Right, but the difference is that in charter schools, you've ceded your right as a citizen to place your child in that school. You don't come as a citizen empowered with rights, you come as a customer. And so...
Explain the difference. What do you mean by that?
In other words, you have to win a lottery. And even once you win the lottery, you can be pushed out of the school. You're moving towards a market model where, like Burger King, no shirt, no shoes, no service. They reserve the right to refuse you service. And for some parents, that's a bargain. Sure, I'll give up my citizen right in order to get this product that I want if the school is a better fit for their child. But for us as a society to give up that
respond to the fact, if he's saying you're closing down a school that's producing good outcomes, right? Right. I mean, someone's saying, well, do you want this this sort of airy notion of citizenship,
absolutely.
Or do you want your kid prepared?
Absolutely.
Most people are going to be like, I want my kid prepared.
Sure, but the Success Academy schools are suspending students at a rate that for some of them is 3 times as high as the district average where they are located. So yes, we have 3 times or twice as many or 3 times as many suspensions. A third of the English language learners, a low fraction of the special needs students. So if we're playing with those kinds of numbers, sure, we might be able to get results, but at what cost?
Right, and this is one of the big arguments, right, against charter schools, the charter movement in general, is this notion of creaming, right? This notion that you are pushing students out. Of course, District 75, which is sort of the organizational part of the system in New York that handles students with special needs that are along a range of spectrums, don't end up often in charter schools. Well, how do you respond to that argument?
Well, first of all, increasingly we are serving those students, but
nowhere near the same rates. Let's be clear.
We're getting there. We're getting there, and we're willing to work with the mayor on how to get there. But number two, he described a system in which you give up rights to go to the school. But what about a system which we have in New York, where if you're in East New York and Central Brooklyn in a zone school, that's your only choice, is to go to the school that the district assign you. And if it's failing, it's a take it or leave it proposition. And if you're poor, it's a take it
But why doesn't
proposition
that
without
argument,
the leader.
okay, but a second ago you were talking about how it's always going to be public schools, but why doesn't that argument prove too much? If it's choice, then let's have school choice. Privatize the whole thing. The argument you just made is exactly the argument people make for privatizing education.
But we're not privatizing education.
Right, but why
what we're
shouldn't
giving
we?
is
Why
different
shouldn't we if you
providers
believe
within the
that?
public system.
But if you believe that, if you think it's ridiculous to consign someone to the absolute unfairness of having to go to their local school, then why don't you also just take the next step and say, let's get privatized school?
Because I'm not a believer in privatized school. I'm a believer in a public school system and charters as a part of that system. And I think we need different providers within that public system.
When I talk to parents who are from charter schools, it's amazing what they say. Charter school parents, anywhere you go, say the same things. They say, the reason I like my charter school, when they do like their charter school, is smaller class sizes, the rich curriculum, they get to do science experiments, they get to be on a sports team, they get to take karate or have dance. Those are the things we've been fighting for in the public schools for eons. And so, to me, it seems like if you have a failing school, closing it down and replacing it with a selective school that kicks out special needs students doesn't solve the problem.
Well, but there's also this competition and also innovation argument, right? Which is that these can be laboratories for figuring stuff out that you can't with the big bureaucracy. That doesn't strike me as implausible.
Right, but we see that most of the experimenting has to do with increasing the pressure to raise test scores and everything that goes along with that. I don't see these. The charter schools that I've seen with my own eyes, that I've experienced, are not laboratories of progressive education. They're test prep factories.
Given the fact that 36 of the 45 co-locations, in this case in the mayor's, were approved, is this blowback completely out of scale to what actually happened?
No, I don't think the blowback is out of scale, because we're not just talking about those 3 schools. We're also talking about the future. Our charter is going to be able to co-locate in the future. Now, today the mayor said some good things. He met with some charter leaders. He said that co-location is going to continue. I'm looking to work with the mayor. I think this is a very loud argument. It's a loud argument because we all care about kids, and I hope we're able to put the politics behind us and move on.
New York City public school teacher Brian Jones, James Merriman from the New York City Charter School Center.